Liam Torres
Yeter
had
artık.
exactly
Bu
3
yaptığını
rules for
asla
surviving
affetmeyeceğim.
diplomatic
Senin
missions.
yüzünden her şey
Keep his
mahvoldu.
head down, fix things quietly, and never, under any circumstances, share his actual opinions. He'd broken the 3rd rule spectacularly. The observation deck of the Meridian was supposed to be empty. He'd checked. Sort of. The holographic feeds floated in midair, showing the Ascari Queen's official portrait, all severe angles, elaborate crown, and an expression that could freeze hydrogen. His fellow technician, Davis, had been going on about potential diplomatic marriages, some rumor that Earth was considering offering candidates. Can you imagine? Davis laughed, marrying into that. Liam, 3 shifts without sleep and running on caffeine substitutes that tasted like regret, didn't think before speaking. Honestly, the Queen is very ugly. No amount of diplomacy would get me to. The words evaporated as he caught the reflection in the viewport. A woman stood behind him, human-looking except for the ears, elongated and swept gracefully back, the unmistakable marker of Ascari nobility. She wore plain traveling clothes, not royal regalia, but her posture radiated authority that needed no crown. Her expression was utterly neutral, which somehow made it worse. Davis had vanished. Coward. Liam turned slowly, his stomach attempting to escape through his feet. Queen Thyra of the Ascari Empire regarded him the way an entomologist might study a particularly stupid insect. Liam's voice cracked. Your Majesty, I didn't. Ugly, she said, her English perfect and cold as deep space. That is your assessment of my appearance. I am so fired, Liam whispered. Worse, Thyra replied, you are reassigned. Liam had imagined many consequences for insulting an alien monarch. Imprisonment, deportation, being launched out an airlock as a diplomatic gesture. He had not imagined this. You want me to what? He asked, certain he'd misheard. Serve as my personal technical consultant, Thyra repeated, her tone suggesting she was already bored with his shock. During the negotiations, you will maintain my communication systems, ensure translation accuracy, and remain available for any technical difficulties. There are hundreds of technicians more qualified, none who have called me ugly to my face. Something that might have been amusement flickered across her features. Well, to my back. I often travel without formal announcement, technician tours. I find people's unfiltered behavior far more informative than diplomatic theater. Liam's brain was performing emergency diagnostics on this conversation and finding nothing but errors. So this is punishment. Consider it penance. You will learn exactly how much effort goes into maintaining appearances you find so displeasing. She turned to leave, then paused. Your defense about the holographic lighting was noted, weak but creative. I really am sorry, Liam said quietly. Thyra glanced back, her elongated ears angling slightly forward. He had no idea what that meant in Ascari body language. Are you sorry you were overheard? Liam opened his mouth, then closed it. Honesty had already destroyed him, might as well commit. Both, Your Majesty, definitely both. For the first time, her expression shifted into something that might have been a smile. Refreshing. Report to my chambers at 0600. And technician, do try to keep your assessments of my appearance internal from now on. She swept out, leaving Liam alone with the sinking realization that he'd just been conscripted into close proximity with the woman he'd insulted. His survival instincts were screaming, but somehow, beneath the terror, he felt the strangest flicker of curiosity. 3 days into his penance, Liam had learned several things. First, Queen Thyra kept longer hours than any human he'd ever met. Second, her communication systems were deliberately overcomplicated as a security measure, which meant he actually had legitimate work to do. Third, she never mentioned his comment again, but somehow made him think about it constantly through sheer proximity. He stood in the corner of a high-level negotiation session, pretending to monitor translation algorithms while actually trying not to stare. Away from the ceremonial makeup and severe styling of her official appearances, Thyra looked completely different. Her features were sharp, intelligent, her long ears remarkably expressive when she thought no one was watching. The ugliness he'd perceived had been architectural, a construction designed to repel rather than attract. Technician Torres. Her voice cut through his thoughts. The Terran ambassador's feed is degrading. Liam jolted into action, fingers flying over his portable interface. A corrupted data packet, simple fix. 90 seconds and the feed stabilized. When he glanced up, Thyra was watching him with an expression he couldn't decipher. "Competent," she murmured. "I appreciate that." Later, in the quiet of her private office while he debugged her personal comm system, she spoke without looking up from her datapad. "The portraits are intentional, you know. The harsh lighting, severe styling. My advisors crafted an image meant to intimidate, to discourage the exact sort of political marriages your colleague mentioned." Liam's hand stilled on his tools. "So you made yourself look less approachable. Ugly was your word, not mine." Now she did look at him, one delicate ear tilting slightly. "But yes, it served its purpose for years. Until some idiot technician said it out loud," Liam finished. "Until someone was honest without agenda." Thyra's gaze held his. "Do you know how rare that is in my position?" Liam swallowed hard. "I'm revising my assessment if it matters." Oh, something danced in her eyes. "To what?" "You're not ugly. I was exhausted and stupid, and I'm sorry." Thyra smiled, genuinely this time. "Better, but still diplomatic. Try again." The negotiations collapsed on the 5th day. Liam watched from his corner as Thyra's court divided into factions, voices rising in her native language. His translation earpiece provided context. The hardliners wanted her to choose an Ascari consort immediately, threatening to withdraw from peace talks if she refused to solidify political alliances through marriage. Thyra's face had returned to that mask of careful neutrality, but Liam had learned to read the subtle tension in her shoulders. She was trapped. That night, she summoned him to her private quarters, a breach of protocol that had her guards exchanging worried glances. She stood at the viewport, backlit by stars, her elongated ears drooping slightly. "They will not allow me to remain unmarried," she said quietly. "My power is conditional on satisfying their political games." Liam set down his toolkit. "The ugly portraits didn't work." She laughed, sharp and bitter. "For a time, but desperation makes people overlook aesthetics." She turned to face him. "Your insult was the first honest assessment of me as a person, not a political asset, that I'd heard in years. Do you understand how absurd that is?" "Pretty absurd," Liam admitted, "but for what it's worth. Anyone who can't see past a bad portrait isn't worth your time." Thyra stared at him, then laughed, real and surprised. "You have no idea what you've just given me." Before he could ask, she swept past him toward the council chamber. Liam followed, confused, as she made her announcement. She would choose her own consort, a human technician who'd once called her ugly and somehow made her feel seen for the first time in her reign. The chamber erupted. Liam's ears rang. Thyra leaned close, whispering, "Political theater, not binding unless you wish it, but it buys time." "Time for what?" Liam managed. Alarms shrieked through the station. Emergency lights strobed red. A voice over the comm. Radical factions opposed to peace had launched an attack. Thyra grabbed his hand, her grip surprisingly strong, and they ran together into chaos. Bound by words neither had meant to speak, facing consequences neither could have predicted. The alien woman grew furious when the human couldn't fix her ship. Then she said, "Marry me, human." When technician Liam Torres carelessly insults the Ascari Queen's appearance, he has no idea she's standing right behind him. What begins as a mortifying mistake transforms into unexpected proximity as Queen Thyra assigns him as her personal consultant, turning his punishment into something far more complicated.